The President. Questions. Question 1. Mr. TMHK. Thank you, President. President, the first phase regulation of disposable plastic tableware and other plastic products will commence on the 22nd of next month, prohibiting the sale of specified disposable plastic tableware and the provision of such tableware to takeaway customers, as well as the provision of 9 types of disposable plastic tableware to dining customers at catering premises, and banning the sale and free distribution of a series of disposable plastic products. In this connection, will the government inform this council? 1. As it has been reported that a wave of panic buying of plastic stem cotton buds and floss picks emerged in the community earlier on, since many members of the public were mistaken that they could no longer buy such products after the commencement of the relevant regulation, whether the government will learn from the experience and step up efforts to disseminate the correct messages to the public at an early stage before the commencement of the second phase regulation. 2. As it has been reported that some operators of small and medium eateries are worried about an increase in their operating costs as a result of the need to shift to non-plastic tableware for the purpose of going plastic-free, whether the government has gained an understanding from them of the implication of going plastic-free on their operating costs, and assessed if eateries shift to paper or bamboo tableware will in fact lead to another kind of wastage. If it has, of the details including the extent of the increase in their operating costs, if not the reason for that. And 3, of the expenditure incurred by and the number of downloads of the Plastic-Free Rewards mobile application, whether the government will consider combining it with another application, Green Dollars, in order to reduce expenditure and enhance efficiency. Thank you, President. Secretary for Environment and Ecology. President, plastics are difficult to decompose and can remain in the natural environment for over 100 years. In recent years, scientists have even started to discover microplastics in human blood, which gradually threaten human health. Plastic reduction and plastic-free have become an international consensus in recent years. Different places around the world have implemented measures to regulate disposable plastic products one after another. In Hong Kong, the relevant legislation for regulating disposable plastic tableware and other plastic products was passed by the Legislative Council in October last year. It will come into effect on the 22nd of April this year. The entire scheme seeks to regulate disposable plastic tableware and other plastic products at source and from their supply. The new legislation is therefore not targeted at the general public. The Environmental Protection Department, EPD, has launched a series of promotion and training to enhance the understanding of the relevant trades as well as the public on the regulation. The first 6 months following the implementation of the regulation on the 22nd of April will also be designated as an adaptation period, during which the EPD will arrange staff to proactively inspect relevant business premises and will focus on promotion and education, as well as to provide appropriate advice to help businesses comply with the requirements under the new legislation. The reply to the question raised by Mr. TMHK is set out below. 1. To let all sectors of society understand the content of the regulation, our promotion and education efforts are not only targeted at specific trades, but also at the general public. We have launched a Cut Plastic Use thematic website, which provides one-stop information for the public and the trades, including information on the legislation and the various options of alternatives to plastic products. In addition, starting from the 1st of February this year, we have released the relevant information through various channels, including television and radio, etc. This is to enhance public understanding of the regulation. We are aware that there are some misconceptions and concerns on the regulation in society. In this connection, the EPD has taken proactive and prompt actions to clarify via various government websites and social media platforms, created infographics to address common questions from the public in a lively and easy-to-understand manner, and has also established a hotline to address inquiries from the public and the trades. For the trades, we've been maintaining close liaison with various trades and providing appropriate assistance and support. Since different trades have various concerns about the details of the regulation, since January this year, the EPD has been organizing a total of around 50 online and offline training sessions targeting different sectors to provide comprehensive and focused training. We will wait until there are sufficient alternatives available in the market before the implementation of the second phase of the regulation. There is no implementation timetable at present. Besides, we'll learn from the experience of promotion and explanation for the first phase of the regulation and take into account factors including the effectiveness of implementing the first phase, the adaptability of the public, as well as the prevalence and affordability of other alternatives to plastic products and so on, before deciding on the time of implementation of the next phase and the relevant preparatory work so as to achieve better results. 2. When determining the types of disposable plastic tableware to be regulated, the government has fully considered whether the supply of relevant alternatives is mature, available, and affordable. Based on the recent market data collected, the prices of non-plastic straws, stirrers, knives, forks, spoons, and plates are now comparable to those of ordinary plastic tableware. Many restaurants and eateries have already switched to non-plastic tableware even before the regulation comes into effect. To assist the trades in procuring compliant alternatives, we've engaged the Hong Kong Quality Assurance Agency, Hong Kong QAA, to establish a green tableware platform, the platform, early in January 2022. Currently, the platform has enlisted more than 60 tableware suppliers and more than 720 compliant non-plastic tableware products verified by the Hong Kong QAA. The EPD has been deploying staff members to progressively conduct compliance surveys through on-site visits to some 20,000 small and medium-sized eateries so as to assist them in understanding the content of the regulation and adjusting their mode of operation for complying with the regulatory requirements. Besides, the Environment and Conservation Fund ECF has also subsidized local or environmental organizations to visit some 7,000 small-sized eateries from March to April this year to reinforce promotion and education and give out non-plastic tableware for free for their trial use to help them make a smooth transition. There are views that switching to non-plastic tableware is just another form of waste. However, in fact, the main objective of plastic-free is to minimize the damage brought to the environment and ecology and human health by plastics that fail to decompose over a long time and turn into microplastics when broken down. Non-plastic materials such as paper and bamboo will not cause the problem of microplastics. Of course, the government will also continue to encourage the public and eateries to actively use reusable tableware and promote waste reduction and recycling through different publicity and education campaigns. The development cost of the Plastic-Free Rewards mobile app is $1.4 million. As at end February this year, the number of downloads of the mobile app is around 3,000. Plastic-Free Rewards has collaborated with the Green Dollar mobile application to allow the public to convert electronic stamps to Green Dollar points or Green Dollar e-coupons through the Plastic-Free Rewards mobile app for redeeming reusable tableware sets or other daily commodities of the Green and Community Network. There are around 20,000 times of stamp collection and gift redemption via the mobile app. Since the number of downloads of the Green Dollar mobile application has reached 500,000, we will explore merging the Plastic-Free Rewards mobile app with the Green Dollar mobile application in order to expand its coverage and also allow the public to practice waste reduction and go plastic-free in a one-stop manner. Thank you, President. Mr. Chen Hakan. Thank you, President. I have to thank the Secretary for taking on board our views. That is to explore the merging of the Plastic-Free Rewards mobile app and Green Dollar in order to save costs. From municipal solid waste charging to going plastic, there are many specific implementation details and questions that have appeared. Despite the government's efforts on publicity, there's a lack of depth, although there is enough breadth. Many small and medium-sized enterprises are not clear about the implementation details of the scheme. So, in the introduction of green policies, there are many difficulties. I'd like to know whether the administration has taken stock of the implementation of green policies, that is, when it comes to the publicity. How can the administration allow the public to better understand these policies and make them easier to understand? President, Thank you, President. Secretary. Thank you, Member. Earlier on, we have MSW charging, municipal solid waste charging, and this time round, we have going plastic-free. We have taken stock a lot of different experience. To allow the public to understand the contents of the schemes, we need to do more than TV promotions as well as leaflets. We'll see how we can, in the future, allow the public to participate in the schemes, and I believe this will be better. Going back to the practice of going plastic-free, above all, small and medium-sized restaurants and eateries need to understand the scheme. So, we understand that the previous publicity was not sufficient, so we have already arranged for 20,000 visits to small to medium-sized eateries and 1,000 odd shops selling these products. We will explain the scheme on site for example, where they can purchase these alternatives. We consider this a better method. As of now, some 80% of the SMEs haven't started preparing for the transition. Some 20% have already started the transition preparatory work. In due course, we'll see whether they run into any difficulty in identifying alternatives in due course. We believe the support will help them in the transition to going plastic-free. Mr. Robert Lee. Thank you, President. In order to go green, and in order to reduce the use of disposable plastic tableware, many restaurants have taken different measures. For example, customers can bring their own tumblers or cups, hence a lower price on the drinks. The takeaway milk boxes can be reused, so can the cups, and so on. This way, we can reduce plastic use as source. That is, how can the administration encourage more eateries to adopt this practice? Secretary. Thank you, Member. We are working on two fronts. First of all, a couple of years ago, the EPD has already worked with the Environmental Campaign Committee, ECC, to launch a large-scale campaign. Reusable tableware can be sourced in order to join the relevant campaign. The ECF is inviting some organizations to work on a scheme. The scheme is to work with different takeaway platforms to promote reusable meal boxes. They can work with restaurants and eateries. When the takeaway meal boxes are given to customers can actually return these boxes to the restaurants. The promotion of reusable tableware, we will try to understand the difficulty, and we will also assess the adaptability of the public. We'll take stock of the scheme I mentioned just now to see how we can expand the coverage. Mr. Tom Yi-chung. Thank you, President. I've been in the political sector for 20-odd years. The Secretary is the one that I have worked with the best. Well, I didn't see eye to eye with the previous secretaries. A couple of months ago, I was kind of worried, and I discussed with the Secretary. MSW charging and other schemes, these schemes are problematic. I wanted to ask the Secretary to postpone the scheme of going plastic free, but then the Secretary actually postponed the MSW charging scheme. That is to provide breathing space for the industry. There are difficulties in the trade. When the Secretary was serving as the Undersecretary, well, Mr. Tommy Zhang, I'm about to ask my question. In the first phase, that is that will start on the 22nd of April, there are 6 months. It's good that you are going to meet with many restaurants and eateries, but then you have to visit some smaller size eateries as well. I hope that you will give verbal warnings, or you should even ask them to visit your websites to check where they can purchase reusable tableware instead of prosecution. This will be a better method. Secretary, thank you, Mr. Tommy Zhang, for your comment and question. I fully agree. In the adaptation period, we visited 20,000 restaurants and eateries. There are some who are not prepared yet. We will also visit them to see how we can assist them. In the second half of the adaptation period, we will once again visit these unprepared restaurants and eateries. Even after the adaptation period, our strategy is that we will first of all provide assistance and information to help them purchase alternatives. If they are still not compliant with the regulation, we will adopt the method of fine. Through the culture of going plastic free, we'd like to establish a culture that is a positive culture to encourage the public to go plastic free. Instead of a hard-faced approach, we'd like to focus on promotion, and we will only take prosecution actions when they still refuse to stay compliant. Ms. Chen Hao-Yan. Thank you, President. I thank the Secretary and his team to go plastic free. Actually, the public supports going for plastic free and waste reduction. If members of the public understand the content of the regulation, there won't be a rush on cotton buds. I mean plastic stem cotton buds and plastic stem floss sticks. Expanded polystyrene EPS tableware are not allowed, but then plastic tableware is allowed. Sale will also be allowed. This is exactly what the public don't understand. Hence the wave of panic buying. Ms. Chen Hao-Yan, please ask your question. In your future publicity in the Bills Committee, you promised that you would step up publicity, but then you are just going to visit restaurants and eateries. How can you enhance public understanding so that they will have a clear idea what they can purchase and what they can use at catering premises? Thank you, member. In my main reply, I touched upon the fact that we reduce plastic use at source and from suppliers. Basically, the regulation does not target the public, so the public does not have to be worried. That is what they can buy, how they can stay compliant with the law. They do not have to be worried. Whether in supermarkets, in pharmacies, whatever they can buy, they are still within the law. Even if in exceptional circumstances, that is when they purchase prohibited products, they are still not against the law. We target suppliers and we reduce plastic use at source. So we have already belabored the point that the public does not have to be worried. The target of the scheme targets the source and suppliers, so members of the public do not need to be worried. But of course, we will try to disseminate the messages through different channels so that the public do not have to worry because of this, because they would not be on the wrong side of the law. Mr. Peter Schill. Thank you, President. Secretary, the purpose is to go plastic free. But this piece of legislation does not forbid people from importing tableware, including online buying or online shopping, when they continue to purchase plastic products on Taobao. And the norm is that Hong Kong citizens go to the mainland and import some tableware back into Hong Kong. So how will your scheme help the green culture in Hong Kong? Have you assessed the impact on the retailers in Hong Kong? Have you done any of these assessments? Secretary, regarding the first point, that is to go plastic free, this is not what only we Hong Kong are doing. The mainland is working on this as well. The mainland has already banned the use of EPS milk boxes as well as other schemes to reduce plastic waste. Macau, last year, already started regulating disposable plastic tableware. So this is not only happening in Hong Kong. In other places, probably they can buy plastic tableware from elsewhere, but as I have already explained, they do not have to worry. They are not the targets of the regulation. The purpose of the regulation is to reduce plastic use gradually. In special circumstances, when citizens bring disposable plastic tableware into Hong Kong, that will not cause a significant impact on society, so the public do not have to be worried. What question is left unanswered? No assessment. Secretary, anything to add? Just now, I already mentioned that this practice is actually being done in other places around the world as well. So, on a level playing field, the impact on the Hong Kong retail industry will not be significant, and there won't be a significant impact as well.
Question 2, Dr. Wendy Hong. In 2018, the government announced that it would maintain the supply ratio of 70-30 between public rental housing PRH and Green Farm Subsidized Home Ownership Scheme GSH and other subsidized sale flats SSFs under the long-term housing strategy. There are views saying that as the supply of SSFs is still much lower than that of PRH even with their production resumed after a 10-year moratorium, some sandwich class people who are ineligible for PRH and cannot afford private housing can only live in subdivided units. PRH tenants aspiring for home ownership can hardly move up the housing ladder. In this connection, will the government inform this council? 1. Whether it will consider adjusting the supply ratio of PRH and GSH to other SSFs to 50-50 to ease the government's financial burden and address the public's keen demand for home ownership. 2. As there are views that given the interchangeability between PRH and subsidized sale housing, the quality of these two types of housing is almost the same, whether the government will review the principle of interchangeability to enhance the quality of subsidized sale housing. And 3. As there are views that building more PRH may not always be advantageous because some people deliberately control their income in order to be eligible for and live in PRH. And the PRH, with a substantial amount of land and financial resources required for its construction and operation, is a heavy burden for the government in the long run. Whether the government will study formulating an optimal proportion of PRH in the overall housing supply and setting a ceiling on its supply in the long-term housing strategy. Secretary for Housing. President. My consolidated reply to the various parts of the question raised by Dr. Wendy Hong is as follows. It is the vision of the Hong Kong Housing Authority HA to provide affordable rental housing to low-income families with housing needs. HA helps low to medium or middle-income families to achieve home ownership by offering subsidized sale flats SSFs. In view of the limited supply of public housing, we have been striving to strike a balance between the supply of PRH SSFs in order to meet the different needs of the public. According to the long-term housing strategy, the government updates the long-term housing demand projection annually and presents a rolling 10-year housing supply target to capture social, economic, and market changes over time. and make adjustments where necessary. Given the persistent shortfall in the supply of public housing in the past, with a view to strengthening policy effort to meet the housing needs of the public, the government revised the public-private split of new housing supply from 60-40 to 70-30 in 2018, and maintained the ratio between PRH, Green Farm Subsidized Home Ownership Scheme, GSH, and other SSFs, for example, Home Ownership Scheme, at 70-30. The current term government increases land and housing supply through streamlining procedures and enhancing coordination of interdepartmental work. Through various measures to enhance speed, efficiency, and quantity, the government has been speeding up land creation for housing in the coming 5 years that are from 2024 to 25 to 2028 to 29. It is estimated that the traditional public housing's production will be about 142,000 units. Coupled with some 30,000 additional light public housing units, the overall public housing supply will reach about 172,000 units, with an increase of about 9% as compared with that in the preceding 5 years period at 158,000 units. In addition, we have also stepped up efforts to combat tenancy abuse to ensure that the precious PRH resources are allocated to those in need. As for SSFs, we know that there is a strong demand from relevant groups. The government has all along been assisting the low to medium income families to achieve home ownership through overall planning, supply, and financial arrangements. Firstly, HA has been striving to enhance the housing ladder by offering SSFs and launching various schemes, including HOS, GSH, the Private Subsidized Sale Flat Pilot Scheme, the White Farm Secondary Market Scheme, and the Starter Homes for Hong Kong residents, and so on, to provide framework that bridges the public housing and private housing markets. The discount offered under GSH, which has been regularized since 2018, will be 10% more than that in the preceding HOS sale exercise. Under the one-for-one arrangement, PRH tenants with more financial resources can move up the housing ladder and return their PRH units, so that PRH applicants can be housed to public housing as soon as possible. In terms of supply, HA's SSF production has increased significantly from about 3,000 units in 2016-17 to about 9,700 units in 2022-23. For HOS 2023 launched recently, about 9,200 units were put up for sale, which was the largest or highest number in recent years. As for financial arrangements, according to the deed of guarantee with which HA has entered into with participating banks and financial institutions, the maximum loan amount for SSF's green farm purchasers in the primary market is 95% of the selling price, while that for white farm purchasers is 90% of the selling price. Recently, HA has also relaxed the mortgage arrangements for SSFs by extending the maximum mortgage default guarantee period and the mortgage repayment period under the deeds of guarantee provided by HA to 50 years and 30 years respectively, so as to enable purchasers of SSFs to obtain more affordable mortgage to facilitate the circulation of SSFs. We understand that people expect the government to increase the supply of SSFs. However, as the average waiting time for PRH is still relatively long, we plan to focus our efforts on increasing PRH supply for housing applicants in need as soon as possible, thus improving their livelihood. Looking ahead, there will be a significant increase in public housing supply in the second 5 year, that is from 2029-30 to 2033 to 34, which will provide more room to adjust the ratio between PRH and SSFs. As public housing construction takes time, we will review the ratio in due course. As public demand for different types of public housing changes over time and with the environment, HKA needs to maintain flexibility in housing types to enhance interchangeability amongst PRH, GSH, and other SSFs during project development, and make adjustment to the respective of supply in order to respond to the needs of the community in a timely manner. The oversubscription of SSFs in the sale exercise show that SSF is attractive while maintaining the interchangeability arrangement. Apart from the above, we have been actively improving the quality of SSFs. In response to public's aspiration for larger living space, the government stipulated in the 2022 policy address that the sellable area of all SSFs completed from 2026 to 27 onwards will be no less than 26 square meters. We will continue to take into account the prevailing socio-economic circumstances in the long-term housing strategy annual review exercise and review the public-private split and make adjustments where necessary. Thank you, President. Dr. Wendy Hong. Secretary. The waiting time for PRH is so long. That's not because of shortage of supply. There are about 30% of the households in Hong Kong are residing in PRH estates, and that is the highest in the world. The cases or the number of people waiting for PRH estates is 2 times that after the reunification. A CEO of company shared with me that there was an employer or employee in their company who is aged 25. The person resigned and lived with their family because they wanted to get hold of a PRH estates. It seems that our resources are focused on building PRH estates. PRH has become the best option for people to get hold of a flat. A lot of people control their income in order to be eligible for a PRH unit. On the waiting list of PRH, about 40% of them is Ms. Dr. Wendy Hong. Please put your questions. The average age is 30 years old. 40% have tertiary or university level of education. It seems that our housing policy have created demand for PRH and twisted the career. Dr. Wendy Hong, please put your question. Secretary, even if you announced today that you will increase the supply for SSF, we will still have to wait 10 to 10 years. It seems that our young people have lost hope in terms of home ownership. When will you consider the needs of the sandwich class people and give hopes to young people who want to own a home? Secretary. President, I would like to thank Dr. Hong for the question. Young people need to have hopes. There are some secondary school students who are here visiting the LegCo. We don't want young people to sign up for PRH as soon as they graduate. As we understand, because of the town planning procedures, funding procedures or proposals submitted to the LegCo, because of various reasons, they were disrupted, and that affected the 5-year supply of our housing, in particular public rental housing. This term of the government is determined to create land and increase supply of PRH and SSFs for families in need. We will increase supply. As for the supply of private housing, we have abundant of that. But for the coming 5 years, we have to tackle the problems that have accumulated. So we need to focus our resources on the supply of PRH in the coming 5 years. The number of people on the waiting list is 129,000, which is a drop of 17% compared with some previous years. We will continue to work towards this goal. I think that the young people should plan their future and try to move up there in the housing ladder. We will not encourage young people to sign up for PRH or get on the waiting list as soon as they graduate. We accord a higher mark for people of senior age. It seems that there is an illusion that, well, people think that the waiting time is long for PRH, but that's because we accord a higher mark for people of older age. If you look at the situation with SSF, as mentioned in my main reply, we have a lot of measures to help families get hold of an SSF flat. For example, we extend the maximum mortgage default guarantee from 30 years to 50 years. And we have also extended the mortgage repayment period. All these measures will help households or families who want to purchase a flat. Over the long run, we will continue to increase housing supply for PRH. In the next 5 years, we will have room to adjust the ratio as mentioned by Dr. Hong. Thank you. Mr. Lee Chang-kan. President, as mentioned by Dr. Hong, it seems that we have restricted our development by providing so many PRH housing. It seems a lot of young people prefer to be paid by cash, and they try to work part-time just to be eligible for a PRH flat. This affects our tax revenue, and this affects the young people's aspiration to achieve upward mobility. So does the government have measures to cope with this? For example, will we make reference to the Singapore on their housing policy to relax the income restrictions for PRH or SSFs so that we can create a comprehensive housing ladder? Secretary. Thank you, President, and thank you, Mr. Lee. We have 9,200 HOS that is put up on sale. We have started home projects. The private sector is supplying private housing units. So we do have different options for people with aspirations of home ownership. I agree that we should step up our efforts to create land and build more housing for people in need so that they can choose different types of housing and plan their future. Mr. Lee, you talked about HDB housing of the Singapore. Every city has their own historical background. As for Singapore, they have a very strong fund. The contribution in their MPF is higher. We cannot just completely copy what they're doing to Hong Kong. We have developed a scheme and strategy to supply public and private housing. As mentioned, in terms of mortgage arrangement, the banks actually offer a very high loan-to-value ratio to purchasers, and we have extended the maximum mortgage default guarantee period. Mr. Chan Kan-ban. President, the people have been asking the government to implement TPS as soon as possible. SSF account to 30% of the total housing supply. I wonder if that include the housing built by housing of society. So how is the 30% distributed? Will the government announce the ratio when they are putting up land for sale? Secretary. Thank you, President, and thank you, Mr. Chan. For the SSF offered by Housing Society, that falls under the 30 in the 70 to 30 ratio. We have already 39 estates here for the tenants purchaser scheme. 80% have been sold, about 17% that have not been sold. For the tenants residing in the flats that have not been sold in the TPS estate, after they pass away or have purchased the SSF, we will put those flats up for sale in the HOS scheme. For example, there are 400 of such flats sold in the sale exercise this year, and we will continue to do that. We will continue to review the management issues to see if there is any room for improvement. Dr. Teck Chi Yin, what question has not been addressed? I was asking TPS private sector participation scheme if they will be announced. I think you have finished with your question. Anything to add from the Secretary? For the first 5-year period under the long-term housing strategy, on the Housing Authority website, we set out very clearly the completion date, the supply, and locations. You will be able to see where the housing will be located and the completion time on the website. Thank you, President. Dr. Teck Chi Yin. Thank you, President. The problem with PRH is that there is insufficient supply. I know that there will be 170,000 PRH units to be supplied in the coming 5 years. But very often, the PRH units are completed in delay. Can the government tell us what measures you have to enhance efficiency and effectiveness? Secretary. Thank you, President, and thank you, Dr. Tick, for the question. When we are enhancing efficiency and quantity, we do have a task force that is chaired by myself. For example, we have some priority scheme that will be implemented early this year for a project in Qingyi and another in Tuen Mun. For the Tuen Mun project, there were 2 blocks. Because of its location, we will complete one of the blocks first, with the ancillary facilities completed while we build the second block. And we will take the same approach with the project in Qingyi. We try to let people complete their flat intake as soon as possible. I would like to thank the government departments for helping. For example, Water Supplies Department, CEDD, Fire Services Department, DSD, and so on. A lot of their directors actually attend the meeting of the task force that I chair. We target to solve the problems before even they arise. I would like to thank the FSD. They have established a dedicated team to help with the checking of fire service requirements with PRH and public housing. In the past, they have a dedicated team for housing and another for, say, sports center. And as this dedicated team is focused on public housing, so they would be more familiar or well aware of the requirements. Mr. Louis Leung. Thank you, President. In the main reply of the Secretary, she said that young people should focus on subsidized sale flat instead of PRH. So I wonder why the Secretary discouraged the young people from targeting private housing units. I have some declaration of interest to make, but actually we're not just targeting our own interest, but we want the young people to have some higher aspirations. Thank you, President, and thank you, Mr. Leung. For our housing strategy, PRH units actually target elderly people and grassroots family. After the senior citizens are retired, they don't have income. And for families who are unaffordable or who cannot afford private housing, and for those people with disabilities, we want to build PRH units to cater to their needs. As for SSFs, we target low to medium income families. we have a starter homes project for them. These are the options that we have made available to members of the public. As to what types of housing people choose, they will have to look at their income and the locations of their housing. Thank you.
Question 3. I was informed by Mr. Kwok Wai Keung that he has lost his voice. That Mr. Dennis Leung will ask the question on his behalf. Mr. Dennis Leung. President, regarding measures to enhance occupational safety and health (OSH) at construction sites, will the government inform this council, 1, whether it will consider introducing for contractors a demerit point system whereby demerit points will be allotted to contractors who are found to have breached OSH-related requirements during safety inspections, and the demerit points accumulated by the contractors concerned will be taken into account in evaluating their tenders submitted for public works projects, and the tendering qualifications of contractors whose demerit points have exceeded the specified limit will be suspended so as to enhance deterrence. 2. As it is learned that individual contractors have implemented on their own marking schemes for workers, under which demerit points will be allotted to workers who have breached safety rules at construction sites, and workers whose accumulated demerit points have reached a maximum limit may be suspended from work, and it has reported that the Construction Industry Council (CIC) will standardize the relevant criteria for allotting demerit points and implement a safety performance scheme in the first half of this year. Whether the authorities will make it mandatory for all contractors to participate in the scheme, and 3, as a number of major infrastructure projects will commence in Hong Kong, and according to the construction expenditure forecast released by CIC in July last year, the total construction expenditure of the construction industry in Hong Kong will range from $240 billion to $375 billion per annum from 2022 to 23 to 2031 to 32. Whether the authorities will proportionally increase the expenses spent on OSH-related measures to raise the OSH awareness in society as a whole. Secretary for Labour and Welfare. President, the government attaches great importance to site safety. The Labour Department (LD) has been closely monitoring the level and trends of occupational safety and health (OSH) risks in various industries. Pursuant to the risk-based principle, LD formulates and adjusts strategies for inspection and enforcement, publicity and promotion, as well as education and training to uplift the occupational safety and performance and health performance. The Development Bureau, DEVB, from time to time reviews the safety management system of public works and adopts a multi-pronged approach by implementing measures on various fronts, including project design, tender evaluation, contract provisions, work supervision, technology application, etc., with a view to update lifting site safety performance. Having consulted DEVB, my consolidated reply to the questions raised by Mr. Kwok Wai Keung is as follows. 1. The Works Department responsible for managing public works contracts are required to assess the contractor's performance, including performance on site safety, on a quarterly basis. Works departments should take into account the inspection results of LD works departments and the resident site staff when assessing contractors' performance on site safety. Under the current tender evaluation mechanism, contractors' performance on site safety and accident rate in public works contracts, as well as their record of serious incidents, whether they occurred on public works site or not, will be assessed. The assessment related to site safety contributes to about 30% of the overall technical score. Therefore, contractors' performance in public works contracts will directly affect their chance of being awarded public works contracts in future. If the contractor's performance on site safety is rated as very poor in a quarterly assessment, its performance report will be rated as adverse. Generally speaking, if a contractor receives 2 consecutive adverse quarterly performance reports in a public works contract, DEVB will suspend the contractor from tendering for public works contracts pursuant to the regulatory regime. Besides, if a contractor receives repeated adverse quarterly performance reports, even if the reports are not consecutive, we may also consider suspending the contractor from tendering for public works contracts if necessary, taking into account actual circumstances. In the above situation, the Works Department will conduct an end-of-contract review after the completion of contract and will take appropriate regulatory actions against the contractor, including downgrading to probationary status, demotion to a lower group, or even removal from the approved list as necessary. DEVB, if there are serious construction incidents on sites, the EVB will immediately suspend the contractor concerned from tendering for public works contracts. Subject to the investigation findings, the EVB will convene a panel of inquiry and will impose further regulatory actions on the contractor as necessary. Every member in the project team plays an important role in ensuring safety. Everyone has the responsibility to perform their duties properly. The Construction Industry Council, CIC, is further enhancing the safety awareness of all industry stakeholders to nurture a safety-first culture. The government learns that the frontline site personnel safety performance recording platform, the platform applicable to frontline site personnel and workers on construction sites, is being studied by CIC, and consultations with different stakeholders on the details are still ongoing. We understand that the purpose of setting up the platform is to enhance the safety performance and safety awareness of frontline site personnel. Those with outstanding performance will be commended and rewarded. Those whose safety performance is of concern will receive appropriate additional safety training. The platform should help to improve the safety performance of frontline site personnel, and the livelihood of or employment opportunities of these personnel will not be affected. CIC takes the lead in developing and implementing the platform, which is a voluntary measure for adoption by the industry. We believe that it would help to further raise workers' OSH awareness. Pursuant to the risk-based principle 3, LD will continue to allocate resources to promote OSH and raise OSH awareness in the community as a whole. On inspection and enforcement, other than routine inspections, LD will flexibly deploy resources and staff according to the needs of special operations so as to conduct the work more effectively. On publicity and education, LD works in collaboration with the Occupational Safety and Health Council. LD has allocated considerable resources for training, education, and publicity work. This includes organizing large-scale activities. Example, the OSH Innovation and Technology Expo that was just held. Stepping up, and also the other efforts include stepping up publicity through a wide range of channels, including advertisements on television and public transport, continuing to organize OSH seminars and courses, and updating the existing OSH codes of practice, safety guidelines, training courses, and mobile applications, etc., to disseminate and publicize OSH messages to stakeholders in the construction industry with a view to heightening OSH awareness among employees and employers and to prevent accidents. Thank you. Mr. Dennis Leung. Thank you, President. Now, on occupational safety, the government and workers in the industry all agree that one accident is one too many. But then the CC is going to launch this frontline site personnel safety performance recording platform, but it's only limited to major construction sites. Now, if a worker has all his demerit points taken off, there's a chance that he won't actually just receive training. Instead, he will have to move on to other smaller projects or private projects. So how can the government step up its supervision to make sure that the entire construction industry could take part in this platform so that the safety awareness of workers could be successfully raised with a view to preventing accidents in future? Secretary for Development. Now, because it involves the CIC, now the Development Bureau and CIC have a close working relationship, so perhaps I'll take the question. There are individual sites in which the contractors, on their own volition, introduce a demerit point system for workers, because when it comes to safety on site, it's the responsibility for everyone on site. Now, we want the arrangement to be standardized, and that's why CIC is in discussion with the industry to come up with a uniform standard for a fair and just demerit point system. The government thinks this should be encouraged, but then the primary consideration is that if workers are doing well, they should be rewarded. And for workers who are not doing as well, mostly we want them to receive further training, because we want their performance to improve in future. But at the same time, it serves a bit of a deterrent effect, because if a worker has to take training after work, of course, this is a kind of a deterrent to them. But then we stress a point in our discussion with CIC. We don't want the demerit system, point system, to affect the employment prospects of workers in the industry. In other words, the demerit points should only be limited to the particular construction site for assessing the performance of the workers on that particular site. That's the first point. Secondly, before CIC launches the system, we would like to encourage the industry to make better use of our smart site safety system, SSSS. That means on a construction site, technology should be applied to help with improving site safety. So only if the SSS is in place, then we move on to talk about regulating the performance of workers. Because eventually all sites have to adopt the 4S system. So for now, we like to encourage construction sites to adopt the 4S system first before we introduce this demerit point system. Mr. Ben Chan, President, I think the government does attach great importance to industrial safety. Now, often we hear that contractors involved in serious accidents on construction sites are suspended from tendering for further projects. But of course, we need to have sufficient measures to ensure safety. It's not just about talking about or penalizing people to improve safety. Now, for public works, we often see cases that a tender is awarded to the lowest bidder, and sometimes the price is so low, so the contractor tries to cut costs. So when the government review this arrangement for ultra-low bidders win? Because in other places, they will take out the highest and the lowest bidders, and then this is to make sure that there are sufficient measures on ensuring safety. So will the government review its tendering process in terms of bid awarding? Secretary for Development. Now, you're talking about the tendering system for public works projects. Now, the current system is never that the lowest bid wins, because with public works projects, that's a technical score and a score on the price. For the technical score, that accounts for 40 to 50% of the total score. And in the past, we have introduced a new system. When we receive tenders, now the total score, that is the technical and the price score, may be the highest. But then if we find that the tender price is unreasonably low, then we would not award the contract to this tenderer. In fact, in the past, it's happened before. Sometimes we may not always go for the lowest bidder, even though the bidder may have the highest score. In the past few years, on contracts awarded for public works projects, about 40% of the bids are not the lowest that's been awarded contracts. So that means in our system, we don't just look at price. In recent years, we will also see whether it's effective to leave out the lowest bids, and we'll monitor the effectiveness of this measure. Dr. Loy Kwok. Now, in some contractors introduce the demerit point system, but then it doesn't apply to all workers, but only frontline workers, including managers, whose duties are related to construction safety. So this system's actually worked. But of course, we can't rely just on measure or two to improve construction site safety. We need to enhance the safety culture on construction sites. That means we need to have better management, and we need to use new technologies. Now, the 4S system, that is the site safety, a smart site safety system. With this system, we can use technology to monitor real-time the status of workers. Analysis could be conducted at once, and actions could be taken as necessary. For example, if a certain personnel is near dangerous zones, then there will be immediate warnings. So I wonder if the government will actively promote the 4S system, at least for the larger work sites with complex conditions. The 4S system should be introduced. So would you consider promoting the wider use of the 4S system in construction site management? Secretary for Development. Now, Dr. Low mentioned the 4S system, that is the Smart Site Safety System. Now, for public works projects, if the value is about $30 million, and that's most projects, there's a need to include the 4S system. And in the past years, we've been encouraging construction sites in the private sector to also install the 4S system. Now, there is an Innovation and Technology Fund for the construction sector, so we make use of the fund to encourage contractors to seek subsidy from the fund in procuring the 4S system. And then for different site contractors, we also prepare quotations for different choices of the 4S system to facilitate the procurement. Of course, we can see that there's still room for more sites to use the 4S system. In the near term, we would like to launch a labeling system together with CIC. If the 4S system is adopted in a particular construction site, then on the site or on the reference web page, there will be a label to say that this site is using the 4S system. So without a label, that means the site is not using the 4S system. And then you can imagine the Labor Department or other related departments will probably give more attention to these construction sites. We hope that we're actually thinking about some sort of public statement. This is a way to encourage construction sites in the private sector to use the system. And on our procurement list, as I mentioned, we want to provide more help to or service to SME contractors because they may not have a better understanding, they may not have as good an understanding of the 4S system like the larger contractors. But anyway, that's a system we plan to launch soon. Mr. Chow Siu Chung. Now, if there is a uniform safety platform, it's like you providing standard parameters and standards for products. But when workers are not products, there must be a reason why there's unsafe practices. So sometimes you have to observe on site to see who's in the right and who's in the wrong. For example, a worker is wearing a safety helmet, and then he has to poke through a cable at a corner, but then his safety helmet got his way, so he asked his supervisor what he should do, and the supervisor said, well, find a way out on your own. So should the worker then take off his safety helmet? So we're going to launch this recording platform. How can we make sure that the recording is fair? And what if there are workers who have points deducted in an unfair manner, and at the end he's not hired by anyone in the industry? Then how do we ensure fairness? Secretary for Labor and Welfare. I think Mr. Chow Siu Chung is probably thinking about the workers, so I'll reply to this question. As the Secretary for Security Development mentioned, this recording platform is promoted on the own volition of the industry. Now, and it's made clear that the platform should not affect the livelihood or employment opportunities of workers, but rather we want to use the platform to commend those who do well, and for those who are not doing as well, we just want to identify them and give them training. And if, say, for an electrical worker, having difficulties trying to perform some work in tight space, but still, under any circumstances, the worker should not remove his safety helmet, so that he could talk to his supervisor on what to do. Now, we know that when workers are on site, they must make sure their safety comes first. So if they need to wear a safety helmet, they must not remove it. And for tight working space, They could talk to their supervisors what to do. Now, if the supervisor asks you to take your helmet off, you don't do that because you're talking about your own life, so you need to protect your own life. And I'm sure workers know very well what's safe and what's not safe to do on construction site because they've all received safety training. They know they need to wear a safety helmet at all times. Even on TV APIs, we made it clear that workers must first look after their own safety. So then there's always a way to carry out the work. There are ways to work around, I'm sure. Mr. Rock Chen. Now, when Mr. Xun, in the main reply of Mr. Xun, he mentioned the amount of work the government's done in enhancing OSH awareness. Now, there's a singer by the surname He produced a short video of him working on the construction site, and then it's very popular. So would the government consider working with celebrities of KOLs to produce short videos? They can put the videos on their platform, and then it may help to enhance OSH awareness in the community. Which Patrick also will reply. Well, thank you, Mr. Rock Chen, for your suggestion. We're actually moving in that direction. You might have noticed in recent months on TV or on social media platforms, we have posted many short videos on OSH. And there are a number of members related to OSH work have also appeared in the videos because we hope that they will help to attract people's attention to promote OSH awareness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question for Mr. Holden Chow. President, it is learned that the daily traffic flow in the vicinity of Long Fu Road, Long Mun Road, and Wong Chu Road in Tuen Mun is enormous. There are views pointing out that due to the future development needs of Tuen Mun West, which include bringing in advanced manufacturing industries and modern logistics industries, the traffic flow of goods vehicles in particular is expected to increase substantially and will bring about an even greater traffic load for the aforesaid roads. In this connection, will the government inform this council? 1. In order to ensure that the future traffic needs of the multitude of new economic industries in the vicinity of Long Ku Town in Tuen Mun West can be met, whether the authorities will conduct studies and assessments on the traffic carrying capacity of Long Fu Road, Long Mun Road, and Wong Chu Road. If so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. 2. Whether it has plans to build a new trunk road or a green mass transit system for connecting Tuen Mun East and Tuen Mun West. If so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. And 3. Whether it will consider substantially lowering the tolls of the Tai Lam Tunnel after taking over the tunnel in 2025 so as to divert the heavy vehicular flow from Tuen Mun Road. If so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. Secretary for Transport and Logistics. President, the government's vision is to build a livable, competitive, and sustainable Hong Kong through driving development by transport infrastructure by adopting the planning principles of infrastructure-led and capacity creating under the objective to drive development, effectively connecting the new development areas to existing or future transport infrastructure to unleash the development potential of areas along and adjacent to the alignment of transport infrastructure. The Transport and Logistics Bureau promulgated the Hong Kong Major Transport Infrastructure Development Blueprint in December 2023, which formulates a planning framework for the city's future transport infrastructure development and outlines a strategic railway and major road networks which can meet the transport and logistics demand up to 2046 and beyond. Taking into account the available planning data on land development, the blueprint has duly considered the transport and logistics demand brought about by population growth, employment and economic activities in the northern metropolis, Khao Yai Chau Artificial Islands and other major planned development areas, and prioritized the projects based on traffic analysis. Amongst which, in order to meet the transport and logistics demand arising from the progressive development of Northwest New Territories, the government has been taking forward a group of major transport infrastructure projects to connect Northwest New Territories with Lantau Island and the urban areas, including Route 11, section between Yuen Long and North Lantau, Cheng Yi Lantau Link, Tuen Mun Bypass, and widening of Yuen Long Highway, section between Lam Tay and Tong Yen San Chun. In the meantime,
The government is also exploring the proposed Hong Kong Island West Northeast Lantau Link and Hong Kong Island West Hung Shui Kiu Rail Link under the studies related to Kao Yi Chao Artificial Islands. Upon the progressive commissioning of the aforementioned major transport infrastructure projects, we anticipate that the transport infrastructure network will have sufficient capacity to drive developments, offer more commuting options, relieve the pressure of existing major roads including Tai Lam Tunnel and Tuen Mun Road, reduce journey time, and bring about long-term socio-economic benefits. Our reply to the questions raised by Mr. Holden Chow is set out as follows. For parts 1 and 2 of the question, the Development Bureau commenced the planning and engineering study for Long Kwu Tan reclamation and the replanning of Tuen Mun West area at the end of last year to consider existing and planned road and water transport connections in these areas with a view to developing modern industries such as advanced construction and logistics, together with some residential development and community facilities. Detailed traffic impact assessments will be carried out under the study. Besides looking into the feasibility of constructing a new road within the Long Kwu Tan reclamation area to connect with other areas, the study will consider the feasibility of widening Long Mun Road, which connects Long Kwu Tan and Tuen Mun West areas to Tuen Mun Town Centre. The connectivity of Long Kwu Tan and Tuen Mun West with existing and planned road and railway networks, including the proposed Route 11 and Tuen Mun bypass, and the feasibility of extending the Hong Kong Island West Hung Shui Kiu Rail Link as proposed under the Kao Yi Chao Artificial Islands project to Tuen Mun West from Tuen Mun East. The Development Bureau expects to put forth initial land use proposals for Long Kwu Tan reclamation and the replanning of Tuen Mun West by 2025. More concrete associated traffic improvement proposals will be suggested by then for public opinions. Part 3 of the question. As for the Tai Lam Tunnel, the Build, Operate, Transfer franchise will expire in May 2025, after which it will be taken over by the government to become a government tunnel. The Transport and Logistics Bureau and the Transport Department have set up an interdepartmental working group to carry out the necessary preparatory work for the takeover of the tunnel, including the preparation for setting up HKE toll facilities in order to launch free-flow tolling service as soon as the government takes over the tunnel. The government is also reviewing the future toll levels of the Tai Lam Tunnel and will take into account the relevant factors such as traffic management needs, the capacity and capability of the road network in the vicinity, as well as the impact to the alternative routes, etc. Road pricing is an essential traffic management measure which can effectively regulate traffic and optimize the use of limited road space. At present, although motorists can use the free Tuen Mun Road as an alternative route, the traffic flow of the Tai Lam Tunnel during peak hours is at a very high level, with the utilization rate of the tunnel exceeding 80%. Therefore, we need to set the toll levels of the Tai Lam Tunnel judiciously so that they will not induce excessive additional traffic flow which will cause traffic congestion and affect the traffic conditions of the tunnel and its connecting roads, in particular the Teng Khao Bridge, which is already very busy. We will review the toll levels of the Tai Lam Tunnel in the light of the latest traffic data and consult the Legislative Council in mid-2024 on the takeover arrangements as well as the toll proposals for the tunnel. Thank you. Mr. Holden Chow. President, last year I submitted a proposal to the Development Bureau to connect Tuen Mun West and Tuen Mun East. We need to have the mass transit system and we have to have the Penny Bays station. We have been waiting for a long time for this. To cope with the problem, Tai Lam Tunnel will be taken over by the government next year in May. My question focuses on Long Mun Road, Long Fu Road, and Wan Chu Road. In order to make good use of the reclamation area in Long Kwu Tan in the future, we have to tackle the traffic congestion issue. Apart from widening existing roads, would there be other measures to improve the traffic condition on Long Fu Road, Long Mun Road, and Wan Chu Road? Thank you. Thank you for the question, Secretary. For Wan Chu Road is one of the busiest road sections in the area. We understand the problem. Every day when I commute to work, I look at my mobile phone to monitor the traffic congestion issues across the territory. There are a few sections on Wonshu Road. The Chunmun Town Center, as well as the Wonshu Road, is one of the sections. I have heard members' views. To tackle the issue, we have to wait for Route 11. Currently, from Lantau to Chunmun, well, we have published the notice in Gazette to upgrade that part of Route 11. Are there any medium-term measures that we will put in place? Well, I'll give you some examples of work we have done. For instance, around Chunmun Town Center near Chunmun Garden, we have carried out some improvement works. Around Chunmun Town Center, vehicles go back and forth. In the middle of last year, we did some traffic management measures. And also from Chunmun to Chaplapkok Link around Longfu Road last year, at the roundabout, we added the number of traffic lanes to 3 to mitigate the traffic congestion issue. From Chunmun Road to Wonshi Road, there are alternative routes that motorists can use. For instance, to further north, we have Chengtin Road. Through Menkham Road, they can go to Chunmun Chaplapkok or Longkutan. We finished some widening works in 2022 and around Sakpai Road and Wusan Road. There will be works to be completed by phases. There are lots of underground facilities or utilities, and we'll have to make sure that all those issues are settled to commence the relevant works. In Chunmun, on Wonshu Road, and there is a connecting road around Fu Hoi Road and Longfu Road. We hope that the traffic around Longfu Road can be diverted so that motorists can take alternative routes. So starting from the 1st of October to the end of last year, we made a gazetto. We would take forward the works gazetted in an orderly manner. These are the short and medium-term measures that we are going to take. Mr. Michael Luke, traffic congestion in Chunmun has been getting more serious. There have been some improvement measures from Longfu Road to Chengwen Road. Well, the relevant works, that means the connecting road, will only be completed by 2029. A lot of local stakeholders have views about the design of Route 11. Apart from connecting it with Lam Tay, can there be slip roads that can be connected to Chunmun Chaplapkok Link? Also, there is the issue with toll levels of Tai Lam Tunnel. Hopefully, by lowering the tolls, traffic can be diverted. In its reply, the administration has taken a conservative approach. Understand, in the southbound Teng Khao Bridge, there will be the e-management measure. and some of the roads will be turned into traffic lanes. Would this be a good opportunity to divert the traffic? Also, I wonder if the administration has done any market research or surveys. Say if you lower the tolls, would that help divert traffic from Tai Lam Tunnel? How would that help with the traffic flow on Tuen Mun Road? Secretary, I thank Mr. Look for the question. Tai Lam Tunnel is after the measures that we implement for time varying tolls in the 3 tunnels, it will be a focus. We will take over the Tai Lam Tunnel in May 2025. In my main reply, I mentioned that we are looking in details the future traffic condition at Tai Lam Tunnel. Tai Lam Tunnel is a tolled tunnel, but Tuen Mun Road is a free road. What will be the chemistry between the two? For Tai Lam Tunnel, for private cars, we charge $58. For Tuen Mun Road, we call it the VC ratio, that is, the vehicle capacity ratio is near 1. When the VC ratio reaches 1.2, it means that there is a serious traffic congestion. So we have to tread carefully. It's unlike the situation we saw at the 3 tunnels. We have to weigh different factors. Toll levels may affect motorist behaviors. So this is what we will consider as we conduct the survey. Mr. Look mentioned about the electronic management measure at Teng Khao Bridge. So would some road shoulders be able to be used as traffic lanes? Well, this is one of the measures we have put in place to enhance the capacity of the road. Be it the upstream or downstream section, will have to take into consideration all factors. There are 4 traffic lanes in early 1990s. When we built the Teng Khao Bridge, the road shoulder was designed to be a wide one. It was a new attempt back then. Kap Shui Mun Bridge or Chiang Ma Bridge, there were no road shoulders, but for Teng Khao Bridge there was a rather wide road shoulder. So we have to look at the upstream and downstream sections to see if traffic flows smoothly. We will handle this very carefully. We will take into account a basket of factors as we determine the toll levels at the Tai Lam Tunnel. Thank you. Which part of the question did he not respond to? Would the administration conduct any market research or survey? Anything to add, Secretary? As mentioned, motorists may be sensitive to the toll levels, and we are studying that. Thank you. Mr. Gary Zhang. In his main reply, Secretary mentioned that the traffic flow of the Tai Lam Tunnel during peak hours is very high. This is true, but during non-peak hours, the traffic flow of the Tai Lam Tunnel is very low. Would the government consider implementing time-varying toll system after it has taken back the Thailand tunnel? Secretary, I thank Mr. Zhang for the question. If you look at the experience we had with the 3 tunnels, we have to look at the traffic flow during peak hours across the 3 tunnels. We also have to look at the diversion of traffic during non-peak hours across the 3 tunnels. When we formulate the toll proposal for the Thai Lam Tunnel, we'll have to look at the traffic flow during peak hours. But at the same time, we'll also think about how to rationalize the traffic between the Thai Lam Tunnel and other roads in the vicinity during non-peak hours. This is one of the things that we will look at as we determine the toll levels. Thank you. Mr. Lam Chun Sing. President, I'm worried that after the light public housing project is completed, there will be traffic congestion in Siu Lam, so we'll have to make good use of the Thai Lam Tunnel to divert traffic. For commercial vehicles, since the implementation of traffic diversion measures across the 3 tunnels, the toll has been increased to $50 for commercial vehicles. I supported the motion moved by Mr. Frankie Yek, but it was banned. So, after you take back the Thai Lam Tunnel next year, will you build a road for commercial vehicles so that these vehicles can use the Thai Lam Tunnel for free, and this will also help divert traffic? Thank you. Secretary, I thank Mr. Lam Chun Sing for the question. As we consider the toll levels of the Thai Lam Tunnel, private cars, buses, commercial vehicles, and goods vehicles, the tolls to be charged for all these vehicles will be considered. As we determine the toll level, we'll definitely consider all the views. Thank you.
Question number 5, Mr. Chen Chunying. Thank you, Mr. President. There are views that tourist-oriented regional competition has become exceptionally keen recently. Governments of various places employ all means to compete for tourist resources. Hong Kong is facing new challenges in the new competitive environment and may experience the predicament of lagging behind. In this connection, will the government inform this council, 1, as it is learned that to promote the development of tourism industry, various local governments in the mainland have worked in solidarity with the entire municipality and even the entire province to break barriers and remove obstacles among various industries and trades, whether the government can connect various industries and trades as well as mobilize and coordinate resources across the territory so that the departments can work together to facilitate the development of Hong Kong's tourism industry, thereby getting rid of the predicament. 2, as there are views that the major current pursuits of mainland tourists in traveling are high cost effectiveness and coast experience, how the government can enhance the experience of tourism from the mainland with the limited time and budgets, as well as encourage and motivate the whole society to foster a cordial and welcoming atmosphere. And 3, as it is learned that nowadays tourists prefer to check in at popular, unique and iconic landmarks and street scenes, then the public opinions and trends presented on the We media can bring a huge influence, whether the government has plans to, by tapping on our characteristics and advantages, adopt a more proactive approach to steer the promotional efforts towards a more compassionate and attractive direction, such as opening a We Media account to actively exchange views and interact with netizens. Secretary for Tourism, Sports and Culture, Tourism and Sports. President, tourism is one of the major pillars of our economy. Over the past year, business and leisure visitors from the mainland and around the world have gradually returned to Hong Kong. injecting impetus into the tourism industry. With the concerted efforts of the government and the travel trade, visitor arrivals reached 34 million last year, and there was a continuous increase in the number of arrivals quarter by quarter, revealing a strong recovery momentum of the industry. According to the preliminary figures from the Immigration Department, the number of visitor arrivals in the first 2 months of this year was approximately 7.83 million, about 130,000 per day. The latter represents a 12% increase compared to the average daily number of visitor arrivals in the fourth quarter of 2023, which was approximately 116,000. During the Chinese New Year Golden Week of the mainland last month, the number of total visitor arrivals reached the level of the same period in 2018, while the number of arrivals even exceeded the 2018 level. The Financial Secretary proposed in the 2024-25 budget a total amount of $1.095 billion to be set aside to intensify efforts to promote a number of tourism-related initiatives and projects in the next 3 years. Besides, we will continue to organize and coordinate various mega events and large-scale activities with characteristics to attract more visitors to Hong Kong. In respect of the questions raised by Mr. Chen Chen-ying, the reply is as follows. 1. Joint efforts by different sectors through collaboration and coordination is essential in promoting tourism development. We've established the High-Level Tourism Strategy Committee, or TSC, chaired by the Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, to develop strategies to further promote the long-term sustainable development of the industry and enhance collaboration among different stakeholders. Members include prominent figures and key leaders from the tourism and other related sectors, such as culture, sports, retail, and catering. TSC aims at gathering strategic advice to enhance the speed and quality of development of the industry, as well as fostering integrated development of tourism and other sectors. In promoting mega event economy, the government has set up an interdepartmental mega events coordination group chaired by the Deputy Financial Secretary, with a Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism as deputy. Members include representatives from different bureaus, departments, the Hong Kong Tourism Board, and other statutory bodies. The coordination group is committed to strengthening the overall planning and coordination of mega events, ensuring sufficient interdepartmental support, taking the initiative to scout mega events to be held in Hong Kong, and promoting mega events economy through a multi-pronged approach, which will further promote tourism development. We convene tourism-related high-level coordination meetings as necessary to coordinate matters involving different departments, such as preparation work for receiving visitors to Hong Kong during the golden weeks of the mainland. All the government departments have been actively involved. 2. Enriching tourism resources in Hong Kong and providing visitors with new tourism offerings and experiences are of utmost importance. Together with the Hong Kong Tourism Board, we promote new thematic travel experiences anchoring seasonal, festive and mega events, as well as integrating Chinese and Western arts, pop culture, wine and dine experiences, outdoor explorations, active sports and more to cater for the interests of wide-ranging visitor segments while developing immersive, in-depth tourism activities in light of the latest trends. We'll also encourage the trade to launch more tourism products. On developing diversified tourism products, the Tourism Commission will continue to work at full steam to roll out tourism projects such as Cycle Hoi Arts Festival, Design District Hong Kong and City in time. We have organized the Cultural and Heritage Sites Local Tour Incentive Scheme, the Characteristic Local Tourism Incentive Scheme, and Deeper into Hong Kong Creative Itinerary Design Competition to encourage the trade to design more tours. Mega events help attract visitors and enrich their experience. We will organize more mega events to foster a positive ambience in town and attract visitors to Hong Kong, thereby elevating our image. The Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau has launched Art March as a brand for the first time to promote mega arts and cultural events organized, funded or supported by the government, providing locals and visitors with an enriched artistic journey and generating greater economic benefits through the mega arts and cultural events. Being the world-famous tourism destination and gastronomic capital, Hong Kong's hotels and restaurants are internationally recognized. 2 hotels in Hong Kong were selected as the best 5 hotels among the world's 50 best hotels 2023, demonstrating Hong Kong's excellent accommodation experience to the world. Hong Kong is also one of the cities with the most Michelin restaurants. In Asia's 50 best bars held last year, 8 bars in Hong Kong were selected as the best 50. These would help attract visitors to Hong Kong and further enhance our competitiveness. Besides, following the Professional Quality Tourism Services Pledge launched last year, the HKTB will enhance the Quality Tourism Services Scheme and roll out a new round of promotion that includes promoting or producing a reality show with a TV channel and awarding recognition to the excellent service of frontline practitioners to foster the hospitality culture in Hong Kong by engaging the public and all walks of life. 3. We know travelers' preference is changing. More visitors are expecting to enjoy in-depth experiences, and many of them follow recommendations online to look for authentic local experiences and photo spots. As such, the HKTB invited more than 2,000 trade stakeholders, media, celebrities, KOLs from the mainland, Southeast Asia, and Europe 2023, including the prestigious movie stars from the Hollywood and other regions, as well as bloggers with large numbers of followers on social media platforms such as Xiaohongshu, Douyin, Weibo, and Bilibili, targeting the mainland source market, to come to Hong Kong to experience the diverse tourism features and share the experience on social media to create positive word of mouth and tell the good story of Hong Kong. We have accumulated more than 11 million followers on various social media platforms so far. In the past year, promotion contents on these platforms featured more than 2 billion reach rate. We will continue to promote Hong Kong on various media channels. In addition, we would invite guests to come to Hong Kong to participate in mega events, conferences, competitions to experience Hong Kong's unique characteristics. For example, during the Live Golf professional tour just held, the organizer invited many famous golf players to visit the Hong Kong Palace Museum to taste Pun Choi and watch a Bian Lian, or face-changing performance, to experience our unique traditional culture and the Chinese arts. The golf players share their personal experience on social media platforms, together with the efforts of the board in promoting the events to showcase Hong Kong's unique tourism experience to the world. The CST Bureau will continue to work with the Hong Kong Tourism Board and stakeholders to actively promote the development of our tourism industry, develop our tourism brand, as well as reinforcing and enhancing our status as an international tourism hub. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Well, the administration has provided a detailed reply. I also hope that we continue to receive more visitors. However, there are also many same-day visitors. And this is the main choice of Shenzhen, Guangzhou visitors. In fact, this is a new phenomenon and new tourism trend. These visitors are familiar with Hong Kong. They focus on natural nature, scenic trails, and those with unique characteristics. Will the government consolidate the efforts so that you can put all the spots together and attract these visitors to stay behind for longer in Hong Kong so that they can contribute to the economy? Secretary. Thank you, President. Thank you, Mr. Chan, for your question. We attach importance to providing tourists with a wide portfolio of experience. That is why through events such as Deeper into Hong Kong Creative Itinerary Design Competition, we can develop more thematic tours to suit the needs of different visitor segments. As mentioned in the main reply, we are developing new products such as the Art March brand, launched this month, so as to give tourists a new experience, for them to stay longer in Hong Kong, for them to have experience in the different art events in March, as we build a positive ambience. We will continue to develop new products and itineraries for our visitors. We will also develop new brands so as to attract more visitors to come. Ms. Chan Yut-ming. Thank you, President. Hong Kong is a cultural melting pot where the East meets the West. We also have many heritage resources, including Chinese Western religious establishments with a lot of activities. Many mainland visitors would like to go to the temples in Hong Kong, such as the one in Lantau, and also the Guanyin Temple in Hong Kong. Many ethnic Chinese, Thai tourists would visit the place. We also have many traditional Western churches in Hong Kong as well. My question for the Secretary is this: how will the government further utilize the existing cultural resources to enrich the tourist experience and to provide more check-in spots for tourists so as to enhance the tourism industry's competitiveness? Secretary. Thank you, President. I thank Ms. Chan for her questions. I agree with Ms. Chan. We do have a lot of iconic buildings and places with unique cultural characteristics in Hong Kong that are attractive to visitors. You mentioned some temples and religious establishments. We are happy to liaise with the relevant religious groups and bodies so that these establishments may be open to the visitors and for them to have first-hand experience here. At the same time, we'll also strive to minimize any impact or inconvenience caused to these religious bodies. We will make sure that we'll keep in close liaison. Mr. Michael Tian. Thank you, President. When it comes to tourism, I need to talk about mega events. Around the world, people are talking about the exclusive concert held in Singapore by Taylor Swift. However, we should not underestimate ourselves. We just held the international golf event, Live Golf, professional tour. Many famous golf players gathered here. The event was broadcast live. I also watched the game. Many members here also watched the game. So we had this international event. We had this world-class event, world-class players at this world-class venue. We need all these prerequisites to make it happen. And this event is held at the Fanning Golf Course. Many golf players, used long-range tactics. Well, anyway, please put your question. This event has been broadcast live. It's now a very famous world-class event. The government is going to resume one of the three major courses in order to build houses. Well, this will undermine people's impression of Hong Kong's commitment to promoting sports events. Well, we need to show the world that the government is committed to developing mega events economy. Secretary, you just mentioned that you took golf players to visit the Hong Kong Palace Museum. Well, did you tell others that we used to have 3 courses at the Fanning Golf Course? Now one has been resumed for housing production. So it will look bad. So will you do some lobbying and convince the government not to pursue the 10,000 PRH production target at that site? Secretary, thank you, President. We attach importance to different sports and cultural events taking place in Hong Kong. We also support the mega sports events. Now, to answer the member's question, well, there were justifications in resuming some of the land at the golf course for housing production. The matter was widely discussed in the community. We will give due consideration in a reasonable manner as we take forward planning. In fact, the majority of the site resumed is used for recreational and leisure purposes at the moment. We also support the organization of international and world-class golf events, and so far we have not encountered mishaps. Dr. So Chang-Ming. Responding to what Mr. Chen Chen-ying said, that the mainland tourists place emphasis on high cost effectiveness in the cozy experience. And in order to do so, we need to import labor so as to ensure quality of the services. However, the supplementary scheme in relation to the catering industry has yet to be launched. As I understand, some stakeholders have filed applications, and it's been 2 or 3 months. The applications have not been approved. Now, my question for the government is when are you going to expedite this matter so as to enhance the quality of service in Hong Kong? Secretary, I thank Dr. So for your questions. We're also concerned about manpower support for different sectors. Spearheaded by the Labor and Welfare Bureau, we have different labor importation schemes. In order for an application to be approved, we need the applications to be supported by all the necessary documents. Usually, it will not take long to approve an application, but of course, there is always room for improvement. We also strive to expedite the processing of applications. Mr. Benson, look. As I understand from the administration's reply, the government's strategy to develop tourism is as follows: mega events, more tourism products, and more promotion. That's 3-pronged strategy. I understand that Secretary Yang has actually gone to Qingdao to scout more visitors. In Singapore, they are splurging on inviting mega stars to hold concerts. In Macau, they subsidize visitors to Hong Kong with free ferry tickets and accommodation for them to go to Macau as well. Now, I wonder if the government will provide goodies in the form of subsidies and cash so that you'll be able to organize more mega events and hence attract more visitors. Secretary, thank you, President. Thank you, Mr. Look, for the question. Different places adopt different strategies in attracting visitors, depending on their own circumstances and the availability of resources. As for the Hong Kong SAR government, we also utilize our resources in supporting mega events in Hong Kong. We also provide support to travel agents, such as the various schemes launched, especially during COVID-19 pandemic. We consider different means to further attract more visitors to come. We keep all options open. We also launched some schemes to provide goodies to visitors in the form of coupons, vouchers, so as to enrich their experience here and for them to make greater contribution to our economy during their stay. As I said, we'll continue to adopt different strategies to attract more visitors. Mr. Tony Chair. Thank you, President. To make Hong Kong a capital of hospitality and attract more visitors to come, the government has planned to hold mega events throughout the year. These mega events include large-scale activities with local characteristics, as well as international world-class events. We should support this effort. However, from the perspective of an individual tourist, it is important that they're given a good experience. Apart from shopping and dining, how do we build ourselves as a capital of hospitality? Services are important. In fact, in recent years, many tourists have found that there is an attitude problem among the services industries. So within this year, is the government going to do something in order to improve the quality of services and the attitude of the frontline practitioners? Secretary. Thank you, President. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As mentioned in the main reply, the HKTB, or the Hong Kong Tourism Board, has launched various initiatives so as to foster the atmosphere of, or foster the hospitality culture in Hong Kong by engaging the public and different sectors. That includes the production of a reality show so as to encourage all sectors to provide better services to our tourists. Our services industries are doing very well. There are 2 hotels selected as the best 5 hotels among the world's 50 best hotels 2023, as well as 8 bars in Hong Kong selected as the best 50 in the Asia's 50 best bars. So I'd say that by and large we enjoy a very good reputation as a capital of hospitality. This can be shown through the best hotels and bars in Hong Kong. Of course, everyone should do more to give tourists the best experience.
Last question seeking an oral reply. Honorable Stephen Ho. Thank you, Mr. President. There are views that there are still areas in which the competitiveness of bazaars organized under the Night Vibes Hong Kong and the Day and Night Vibes at 18 districts can be strengthened. In this connection, will the government inform this council? First, as it just learned, at present many bazaar stores only sell pre-cooked dishes or simple food, and there are stringent restrictions in respect of the thresholds for selling food cooked on-site as well as the types of food served, which compare unfavorably to bazaars in the neighboring regions. Whether the government will consider providing stores with more support for the applications for temporary food factory licenses or liquor licenses, or adjusting the overly stringent license requirements so the stores can offer more variety of food and beverages, thereby strengthening the bazaar economy. Second, whether it will integrate the district characteristics as well as local culture and creativity into bazaars, conduct a territory wide review of areas with potentials for bazaar development, and consider crossover of the local culture with international cultures or the cultures of other cities in our country, and assign a dedicated department to coordinate so as to establish bazaars and night markets with cultures and appeal. And third, of the attendance, revenue, and numbers of various types of stores, including stores involving heating up of pre-cooked food, stores involving the cooking of pre-prepared and ready-to-cook food, and stores selling dry goods. In respect of the bazaars under the Day and Night Vibes at 18 districts, how it assess the economic benefits of such bazaars and whether it has revealed the areas that need further enhancement and improvement. Secretary for Environment and Ecology. Mr. President, the government launched the Night Vibes Hong Kong in September 2023. Departments have collaborated with organizations to organize a wealth of nighttime events showcasing local characteristics and attractions. In the first half of the year, the Home Affairs Department, HAD, organized a series of diverse leisure and cultural activities under Day and Night Vibes at 18 districts. Such activities involved bazaars like Temple Street, Endless Authentic Encounters, and celebrating the Year of Dragon, Chun Wan Lantern Festival Bazaar, reflecting that bazaars can have flexible positionings and content to suit different objectives and themes. Besides, community organizations also organize different types of bazaars from time to time. In response to Honorable Ho's question, after consulting the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau, CSTB, and the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau and the Security Bureau, my reply is as follows. First, the government have all along been facilitating the organization of bazaar activities and offering necessary assistance to the applicants. At present, stores in a bazaar only need to fulfill certain basic requirements for safeguarding food safety and public health, like whether the venue has electricity supply and suitable food storage and washing facilities. To obtain a temporary food factory license from the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department, FHD, for cooking food from raw materials and selling of food and beverages. Depending on the specific venue facilities, a vast diversity of food and beverages can be sold. For example, souffle, pancakes, oyster omelette, and grilled oysters were sold at the Kwun Tong Night Market in the Year of Dragon. The FHD also provides a one-stop service to assist applicants to refer application materials to different departments for processing in parallel, so as to facilitate and expedite the application process. Regarding temporary liquor licenses, the police proactively contacts the applicants to explain the license application procedures, the documents required, and provide professional opinion on venue safety and crowd control. This is to ensure public safety and order, while facilitating the organization of different activities. Stalls have been providing alcoholic beverages in bazaar. For example, the sale of craft beer at the Waterfront Carnival in Wan Chai. Second, in terms of infusing district characteristics and local culture and creativity into bazaars, the day and night vibes at 18 districts activities organized by the HAD mainly aim to provide the public with a wide range of cultural and leisure events and to showcase local diversity or traditional cultural connotations in various districts so as to promote a vibrant atmosphere. These activities take various forms, like bazaar carnivals, artwork exhibitions, musical performances, and sports experiences, etc. According to the CSTB, if bazaar organizations are interested in inviting local art groups to perform at bazaars, they may reach out to the latter through their bureau and the Hong Kong Arts Development Council. Arts groups and artists may also apply for subsidy from the Hong Kong Arts Development Council to perform at different venues, including bazaars. Whether bazaars would be infused with local culture and creativity depends on the preference, management arrangements, and interests of the bazaar organizations. It also depends on whether the performances or shows of the art groups and artists are suitable for the relevant bazaar venues. As for bazaars organized by different community organizations, the Environment and Ecology Bureau coordinated the updated version of the Resource Handbook for Bazaar Application, which was issued last January, covering how to identify suitable venues and apply for the hiring of government venues, like those under the Housing Authority, Housing Department, Leisure and Cultural Services Department, and Lands Department, to facilitate interested organizations and persons to have an easier grasp of the relevant application procedures and information. Third, under the day and night vibes at 18 districts organized by the HAD, a series of activities have been rolled out progressively since last January this year. The activities are diverse in forms and content, and bazaar is but one of the forms. As of the 6th of March 2024, 8 activities had bazaar elements. The activities successfully boosted the vibe in the community and attracted many citizens to visit, take photos, and enjoy the festivity. General feedback from the stalls have been positive, indicating a high patronage. For example, the one in Kwun Tong recorded 800,000 visitors in 23 days, the one in Wong Tai Sin had 114,000 visitors in 3 days, and the one in Yuen Long had 120,000 visitors in 3 days. Store operators of the bazaars generally expressed satisfaction with their sales, but then had not disclosed actual profits due to commercial considerations. The themes, scale, and duration of the bazaars vary, with the number of stalls ranging from over 20 plus to about 120. Most of the stores sell dry goods, though some also sell cooked food. As of the 3rd of March 2024, the FHD has issued a total of 111 temporary food factory licenses to such bazaar stores for the sale of food and beverages, including food cooked on site from raw materials or ingredients and pre-prepared food, etc. Thank you, President. Honorable Stephen Ho, thank you, President. We need to commend the SAR government for making it so much better when organizing the Night Vibes Hong Kong and hosting the bazaars. The question is, the citizens would like to say that we want more. Well, I think we share the same concept. I've been checking all the bazaars. Usually they close at 9 p.m., at most 11 p.m. By the time you come out after dinner, you are not hungry. So citizens really want to stay longer, but they can't. For Changsha and Chongqing, they have much longer operating hours. Is it because we haven't got the right venues? So that it shows that we haven't got sufficient venues for the Night Vibes Hong Kong. Will the government consider finding suitable sites in the new development areas so that we won't be getting complaints from neighbors around the sites, and then we can strengthen our night bazaars? Secretary. Thank you, President. Thank you, Honorable Ho, for your advice. Of course, the SL government will continue to boost all sorts of activities, whether we're talking about bazaars, night vibes, or days and night vibes, so that we can promote a better atmosphere, so that we have better vibes and we can have economic benefits. Just now you were saying that perhaps the operating hours were too short. I think we can certainly look at that, and if necessary, and if they are popular with the visitors and citizens, they want to have longer hours, we'll certainly consider that. As the issue of land and venues, we have been looking for new venues for different types of activities so that we have the right vibe for the economy to rejuvenate. Professor Chen Ming Kwong. Thank you, President. I agree entirely with what Stephen Ho has said in his main question. That is, we need to have attractive bazaars and markets. But then for the Night Vibes Hong Kong and the day and night vibes at 18 districts, they are time limited. Some only run for a few days. Others are not well publicized. As a result, some citizens are not able to attend before they are closed. So for time-limited bazaars, I think they are limited in their promotional efforts and impacts, and we're not able to drive our economic development. So will the government enhance the publicity efforts? Will the government take the initiative to set up permanent bazaars and night markets so as to boost consumption and attract more tourists? Who will take the question? Thank you, President. As I have said, the government will spare no efforts and resort to different ways and means to rejuvenate the atmosphere and will promote bazaars. Bazaars take different forms and they have different objectives. Say, for example, we may have time-limited bazaars running for a short period of time. We may also have long-running bazaars. Say, for example, Temple Street, and then in Mong Kok with the ladies' market. And so you can tell that we do have permanent bazaar activities. So they take different forms. We have got a diversity of activities. We have got more than bazaars under the Night Vibes Hong Kong and day and night vibes at 18 districts. All such are aimed at creating a very good environment so that we can attract different kinds of citizens and different kinds of visitors to come. Mr. Lee Chen Keung. Thank you, President. I think bazaars are usually found in older districts. We need wider passageways. We need the right lighting. We need places for clocking in. We need areas where young people can come and go. Well, we do have daycare teams. Can we not resort to them to get some good ideas from them so that we can create a better program for the bazaars and come up with better stalls so that visitors from different parts of the world can find the right one for them to enjoy, like introducing the fire dragon shows to them. Yes, Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for his question. Indeed, he's right. For each district, we have got a different set of characteristics. On the 1st of January, we have been we have the new term of our district councils. Many of them have set up working groups, and we have been listening to the views and suggestions of the district councillors. We've been partnering with the district councillors. Say, for example, in Yunlong, we have the carnival. And in fact, district councillors and their care teams are putting their heads together. And chambers of commerce have also joined hands with them, and the impact is good. We have traditional stores selling traditional foods. We have also got local agricultural produce on sale. And besides, there are also cultural icons there for people to clock in. And in addition to dragon dances, we've also got a very unique performance. That is, in Shuttlecock, we have the dance of the fishermen with some lanterns. I think it is a intangible heritage item as well. So we do have a diversity of shows and activities, and we're grateful to the district people, the district councillors, and the local chambers of commerce for taking part so that we can showcase the characteristics of different districts. You have probably noticed that around about Lunar New Year in Kwun, again, the night market attracted many visitors, including many mainland visitors. On the television news, we saw such visitors being interviewed, and they were well received. Mr. Tanka Pugh, President, I think it is good to see the day and night vibes at 18 districts being launched. So young entrepreneurs, shop owners, etc., have all commended the government for promoting this idea. I think the key element is local characteristic. We need to showcase the local characteristics. In Wong Tai Sin, the religious element, and in Kwun Tong, the activities were held at the waterfront, so we weren't causing any nuisance to any residents nearby. Now, my question is, we have come up with different ideas. We can make use of the temples in Wong Tai Sin, and we can also welcome the national games by setting up a permanent bazaar. But which bureau, which department will be taking the lead, which will steer the activities so that we can come up with a permanent bazaar for both locals as well as visitors? Which bureau will be involved? Secretary for the Environment and Ecology. President, for night markets and bazaars, they take different forms and contents. We have government-led bazaars, say, for example, under the Night Vibes Hong Kong or the Day and Night Vibes at 18 districts. Other departments, for their own objectives, have also organized some other markets and bazaars. I can cite an example. Say, for example, under the Agriculture and Fisheries Department, we have a market for agricultural and fisheries products. Other departments may also hold bazaars for public education and publicity objectives. So departments will come up with their own ideas in accordance with their purposes and objectives. The Farm Fest organized by the Egg and Fish is one of the examples. So we have also come up with the guidebook or the resource handbook for bazaar application to help applicants understand better ways to apply for the stores, etc. So we have been supporting the applicants. Within the government, we have got different departments having their own bazaars and markets so as to meet their own objectives. For community organizations, they can refer to our resource handbook for bazaar applications. Ms. Doreen Kong, President. In the central, Sam Shui Po, and Hong Ham, we have got bazaars selling antiques and jade items, etc. I think you will support such. In Tokyo and Vienna, they will try to make it professional so that they have free markets in different cities. And in fact, they are widely publicized on web pages for tourists. So it is a question of promoting free markets. So are you going to set aside sites for such free markets to be set up to attract the tourists? Secretary, I thank the member for her question. In Hong Kong, we actually don't ban such activities. This isn't a policy on the part of the SA government as far as free markets are concerned. But then we need to make sure that street cleanliness and environmental hygiene are upheld. Therefore, to us, what we want to encourage is follows. That is for free market-like activities to be sort of regularized so that they are part of the regular stores in the market. But of course, from time to time, we can accommodate activities like free markets. Or maybe that's more suitable for other cities, but still we can consider the idea. But generally speaking, for itinerary hawkers and for itinerary stores, we would rather want to have them being regulated in a more orderly fashion. I think that caters for the local circumstances in Hong Kong. Mr. Vincent Zhang. Thank you, President. For the Temple Street Night Market or the Temple Street Bazaar, it has been there for half a year and is hugely popular. More than half of the customers are tourists now. 5 months have passed, and I know it is approaching the end. Would you consider extending the duration? Others have also come back with the feedback that other than selling food from the stores, what about the shops selling souvenirs on either side of the street? Can they also be rejuvenated to attract the tourists and the visitors? Secretary. Well, for the Temple Street Bazaar, the Hong Kong Tourism Board as well as the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau joined hands to run that project. I'm sure they have listened they heard your suggestion, and in the light of the experience, they will consider ways to enhance it. Mr. Duncan Chiu. Thank you, President. For the day and night vibes at 18 districts, in fact, the impact is positive. But then many are worried that they may be duplicated and the activities would just look more or less the same. We want to have high quality development, and we need high quality data. So, Secretary, there are activities attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors, but how many of them are just walk-in visitors and how many of them are tourists from outside? If we haven't got the data, it will be difficult for us to tell which should be repeated, which appeal to visitors and which appeal to tourists. We need to have gather the data, like making use of the smart payment methods. I think such has been practiced on the mainland so that they can even tell the source markets of the tourists, that is, from which provinces, from which cities the tourists come. That would be important for the long-term development of bazaars. Secretary. President, I thank Mr. Chiu for his question and his advice for the application of technologies. I think all government departments embrace the idea. Mr. Chiu has asked a question referring to different districts, like what I have said in reply to Mr. Lee Chen Kang's question. Each district has got its own characteristics, and we should ride on that advantage. Between January and May, 26 day and night vibes activities will be held or have been held, and not all of them are night bazaars. In different districts, we try to create a favorable atmosphere, attracting more people to join. In this way, we can enhance the feel-good factor. Currently, it depends on the scale of the bazaar, like in the case of Shamshui. In fact, for 2 consecutive weekends, we have generated very good results, but we shouldn't just be looking at the number of attendees. In fact, the shops nearby have also seen a boost in their business, and it has got extensive media coverage. Probably it has generated $20 million worth of business, and in fact there was a shop having takings up to $1 million because it's a shop that sells electronic products, so they were able to benefit from our sort of activities. So in fact, Mr. Duncan Chew's idea is good, and we can consider greater application of technology so that in the future activities that we are going to organize, they can be considered, and if necessary, we can certainly benefit from Mr. Chew's advice.
Government Bill, first reading, Stamp Duty Amendment Bill 2024. Second reading, Secretary for Housing. President, I move the second reading of the Stamp Duty Amendment Bill 2024. The bill aims to amend the Stamp Duty Ordinance SDO Cap 117 to abolish all demand-side management measures (DSMMs) as announced in the 2024-25 budget. In other words, from the 28th of February 2024, when the budget was presented onwards, the special stamp duty SSD, the buyer stamp duty BSD, and the new residential stamp duty NRSD will no longer be charged on all residential property transactions. The government has been keeping a close watch on the residential property market. The DSMMs were introduced last year. There were exuberant property speculation and demand-supply imbalance. At present, the property market conditions and the housing demand-supply balance have seen marked changes. Data show low levels of short-term speculative activities, external demands, and investment demands. On the supply side, with the government's sustained efforts in increasing land supply and housing units, the latest projected supply in the primary private residential property market in the coming 3 to 4 years stays high at around 109,000 units as at end December 2023. This reflects a stable supply in the private residential property market. Since the government announced in the policy address on the 25th of October last year the adjustments to DSMMs, the property market sentiment has stayed cautious with no improvement in market confidence. The number of sale and purchase agreements for residential property received by the Land Registry in February 2024 was 2,375, down by 1,100 from 3,477 the month before, and not comparable to the monthly average of 4,370 cases in the first half of 2023. On property prices, overall residential property prices dropped by 7% in 2023. The prices in January 2024 were 1.6% lower than the previous month and were 23% lower than the historical peak in September 2021. Having carefully considered the overall situation, the government deems DSMMs no longer necessary in the prevailing economic and market conditions. We anticipate this move will boost market confidence and render some support to the property market. Abolishing SSD will increase the number of residential flats in the secondary market and encourage the turnover in the property market. Abolishing BSD and NRSD will ease the financial burden on Hong Kong permanent residents, Hong Kong PRs, who have already owned residential properties in their acquisition of another residential property and reduce the costs of non-Hong Kong PRs in their acquisition of residential properties. Since the announcement of abolishing all DSMMs in the 2024-25 budget, market sentiments and responses have been positive. The government will continue to closely monitor the property market and take appropriate measures in response to changes in the market. In the bill, we propose amending the respective stamp duty rates in the first schedule to the SDO, but retaining the framework and relevant provisions for SSD, BSD, and NRSD embedded in the SDO. This will enable the government to, as and when necessary in the future, reinstate the SSD, BSD, and NRSD more readily by adjusting the relevant rates, having regard to the market situation. For property purchasers to benefit from this arrangement, starting from the date of the presentation of the 2024-25 budget, the Chief Executive on the 28th of February made the Public Revenue Protection Stamp Duty Order 2024 to give full force and effect of law to the bill before its enactment. We will work with the Council in the deliberation of the bill. The Public Revenue Protection Order will be in force for 4 months. We would like to solicit support from members so that the bill can be passed before the order expires. I so submit. Thank you, President. I now propose a question to you that the aforesaid bill be read the second time. In accordance with the rules of procedure, the second reading debate is adjourned and the bill is referred to the House Committee. I now adjourn the Council until 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 20th of March, 2024.